From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion, Parashat Chayay Sarah, the power of Sarah. I'd like to show that with the death of Sarah in Parashat Chayay Sarah, there is a radical shift in the whole nature of the order of life, the whole nature of Abraham and the Jewish people and their relation with God. If we look in Parashat Lech Lecha, five times, God appears to Abraham. He appears to him to come to Israel. He appears to him when he gets there. He appears to him after Lot departs. He appears to him in the covenant of the parts. Abraham and God are very close, and Abraham and Sarai are together marching through the land of Israel. God talks to him about Sarah. Sarah's name is changed. Sarah will have a child. That's Parashat Lech Lecha. Parashat Vayera, tent of Abraham and the tent of Sarah are visited by the three angels, and four times in Parashat Vayera, God appears to Abraham. Now we have one Parashat, Parashat Chayay Sarah, which opens with the death of Sarah, and starting with the death of Sarah until Yitzchak and Rivka are praying for children, there is no revelation of God. Parashat Chayay Sarah, whether Abraham is burying his wife, trying to find a grave and a cemetery, a new institution in the land of Israel, whether he's trying to find a wife for his son, there's no revelation of God. God does not appear, God does not speak to Abraham. And I'd like to suggest that this change in the nature of life at that time, the nature of the biblical narrative, of the type of story we're reading, that it's no longer a divine story where God is there, there is God speaking directly to Abraham. It's due to the fact that Sarah has died. We know that Sarah was greater than Abraham in prophecy, and therefore, with the death of Sarah, something very deep is lost. Now, when you look at Parashat Chayay Sarah, you would think that the burial of Sarah, after all, Abraham should have to beg for a burial plot in the very land of Israel, which was promised to him. It's surely one of the trials of Abraham. But God does not intervene. Now, in the story of Eliezer, one might say, oh yes, sure, God intervenes. After all, Eliezer sees the hand of God in everything that happens and the way he bumps into Rivka, so to speak. But actually, while for Eliezer this may seem miraculous, for Abraham, at the level of Abraham, the level we're acquainted to, this is no big event. God's hand is clearly hidden. God is operating from behind the scenes. God is helping Eliezer get there. Yes, surely the divine hand is always there, and surely in the days of Abraham it's palpable, but there's no revelation from on high. If we look at the story of the angels in last week's Parsha, angels come and they say, Ayeh Sarah Ishtecha, where is Sarah your wife? And the Chidushei Arim, quoting the Rabbi Yechiel Michal of Zlochov, it's great, the first Ger Rebbe, quoting this other rabbi, he says, why do the angels want to know where Sarah is? Is it just that they want to talk to her and tell her that she's having a child, or is there something else to it? So he suggests something very interesting. He says the Malachim, the angels, they heard in the heavens that there's a great power called Avraham Avinu, that he is one of the legs of the throne of God, so to speak. God rests in this world on Avraham. And they wondered, what is this great power of Avraham? So they go to him, and the man, as Rabbi Moshe Tarragon pointed out past week when he visited our shul, said Avraham is engaged in very home-like activities. He's engaged in the baking and the shechting and preparing the meat for the guests. What's the great power? Where's the great power of Avraham? And you know what his answer is? Hinei ba'ohel. You know where Sarah is? You know where my secret is? You know where the power of this home is? She's in the tent. You're not going to see her? You're not going to see the power of this Jewish family and how God appears to us. Because the power of a Jewish family is in the mystique of the marriage. It's in the intimacy, the secret recesses, private recesses of a Jewish home. That's where the power of a Jewish home, power of Avraham and Sarah's home, that's where it lies. He says, she is tznuah, as Rashi points out, she is private, she is modest, and from her deeds you will also not see a thing. You'll never know. The power of the Jewish home is invisible. The power of the Jewish home is in the family. The power of Jewish home is in that connection of a husband and wife. It's in that shalom bayit. It's in that piece of the home that's brought through a beautiful marriage of Avraham and Sarah. And therefore, this relates to a point which we've made in past years, a point from Rabbi Rav Meidan, about the pasuk where it says that after Rivka comes in the tent, now there's a restoration of the Jewish home, the great Jewish home. There's a Yitzchak and there's a Rivka. Rabbi Meidan pointed out that when Sarah died, it was basically the destruction of the first temple, with the destruction of the first temple, the temple of Sarah and Abraham. There's no revelation, there's no temple. Then when Rivka comes back in the home, temple is reconstituted. There's a candle, there's bread, there's showbread, there's a cloud, there's incense, the temple is restored. And with that, the Jewish home is restored. We find the same thing later on in the Torah, when Rachel passes away, the end of Parshat Vayishlach, there is no divine revelation at all to the family of Yaakov till he goes down to Egypt. Way at the end of Parshat Vayigash. Without Rachel, without the imahos being with their respective husbands, there's no revelation, there's no Beit HaMikdash, there's no prophecy, and the power of the Jewish home is lost. People wonder, what is the role of marriage in Jewish life? What is the role of a woman in Jewish life? Wow, woman is at home, the tent, what an archaic idea. This is the secret of the Jewish home. Power of the Jewish home. Those intimate moments between a husband and a wife. Power of a Jewish home is in the peace that dwells between a husband and a wife. Power of a Jewish home, two individuals dedicated to God, dedicated to bringing godliness to this world together, husband and a wife. Without that peace of mind between a husband and a wife, the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, the temple is destroyed. The rabbis say that every time there's a divorce, the temple sheds tears, because the temple of the Jewish home doesn't exist unless you have the power of Avraham, the power of Sarah, power of Yitzchak, the power of Rivka, power of Yaakov, and yes, Leah and Rachel. Otherwise, that power is lost. What's the secret of the Jewish home? Hinei ba'ohel. It's in that tent, it's in that marriage, it's in the power of a Jewish woman and her dedication to the homes, the family, to her children, to the Jewish people, and to God. With that, there can be divine revelation. Thank you for joining us here for a discussion of Parashat Chayay Sarah. Feel free to look at our past archives as well. Learn today, as we have for this entire year, Zecher Nishmat Avimori, my father, my teacher, Bernard Finkelstein, Reb Baruch, Reb Chaim Shmuel. Yehi Zechro Baruch, may his memory be a blessing. I want to thank Jason Lefkowitz for making today's presentation possible. Join us again here at the Anjay Sfard Beth El Emeth congregation. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.